Maintaining your cook stove, wood-fired cook stove. That is today's topic. But before that, just want to welcome you all to my humble off-grid homestead in the forest. And yeah, your wood-fired cook stove is really at the heart of it. In our case, it heats the house, the structure about 2,600 square feet. It heats our water that we shower with, for your hot water tank, to do your dishes with, your laundry. It's responsible for all of that, which I'll show you, but maintaining this important appliance is very important, because without it, if this is your only source, then life becomes even harder than it is living off the grid. So let's go into the real nitty-gritty of it. I'm just going to angle the camera down to the stove top. Now, this stove top is stainless steel, but when you heat stainless steel, it changes its color. But you can easily sand it, or even take a wire brush or wool wire to it, and it'll be shiny as when it first arrived to your house. This one is Amish built, and it's called a Princess Pioneer. They come in different, just like cars, they come in different, I suppose, models, you can say. There's a Princess Maid, and then there are all different kinds. This is a real workhorse. Let's open the, let me get my gloves. You open, there are two of these circles. I'll show you the other one where the tripod is standing on. And this is where these circles, these plates, let's call them, the thickness is less than the stovetop, and so these two are the hottest spots of the stovetop. So if you're cooking and you need more heat, then you go on top of one of those two. And if your pot is even big enough, you can even completely remove this top and sit, not in this case, this one's not on top of the fire, the one that the tripod is on, I'll show you that, that one sits on top of the Firebox. But it's still, if you get more heat by removing this lid altogether. So let's see what's under it. So you can see this black, I think you can see, and this is where ash and soot could build up, and you don't want that, because the more of this you have built up on this lid, on this top, and this plate, the more of a sort of an insulation you have. It acts like as thin as it is, it acts like an insulation, and well, you don't want that, because you want heat transferring to the bottom of this and eventually to the top of it where your pots are sitting on. Similarly, this here, this area here, this is all, can you see how thick that is? I just cleaned this less than a week ago, and there's that bit of ash there, and that 1/4 of an inch of ash acts like an insulation. So what this metal is here is the top of your oven below. So if this ash is sitting there acting like an insulation, then the top of your oven isn't getting hot. I mean, it's getting hot, but it's not getting as hot as it could be. I mean, it's a wasted heat. So let's scrape this. Okay. don't know if you can see the color difference between what was on top of the plate and what the ash that's built up there. And I will proceed to clean the lid. It's under this surface. Not very easy to do, but it's not all that important either. And then we go. This tool is called a rake. For obvious reasons, you go all the way as far back as you can, and you rake your ash towards you, collecting all of that ash. And then I go to the opposite end, and now I push the ash into that firebox chamber. I do this on every sunny day that the stove doesn't have to be on. It is getting cool now. We're mid-November, but I still didn't need to turn the stove on this morning, so this is an opportune time to do this. So any chance you get is a good idea to do this. Now I'm going to try to shift the camera over to the other box. By the way, while you're here, see this stainless steel railing? That is how shiny this stovetop was and will be if you were to sand it. It would look like this stainless steel railing again. Alright, see this is the second box. This one here was our first ring or plate that we just cleaned. Now we're going to do this one. That's the main. This is the main one. Alright. Same situation here. Now depending on how often you do this, and depending on how dry your wood is, and depending on if you're using softwood or hardwood, the more or less of a buildup you will have. Right now I'm using entirely softwood because it's not hot. It's not cold enough for me to require so much heat. And this softwood is all the trees that were down from our own property over the winter last year. So this is guilt-free firewood. I don't want to say free because you know you need your time. Your time has value. Your chainsaw requires maintenance. We use battery-powered chainsaw, but still the batteries would need replacing, would need charging. So it's not completely free. And if you use a gasoline-powered chainsaw, well, your expenses are that much more. So let me see if you can see from where you are. Okay, I think you can see this here. This, and I'll show it to you from a different angle. This is a loop that is stainless steel. And this stainless steel loop is where the cold water enters down from the bottom, goes around and goes on top. And this being the fire chamber, Firebox, heats the water that's in this loop, stainless. See how this, again, this stainless steel used to be, I mean it's still stainless, it used to be shiny. Let me see if I can make it shiny again by scraping. Requires more yeah, more force. But this will be, you can scrape this into back to its stainless steel, shiny stainless steel form. But what I just did, and what I do every time I get in there, is try to scrape off any soot that might be there, because that also acts like an insulation. Maybe now I'll take you around to the other side so you can get a better angle. Is this a better point of view for you? There's that loop that I was telling you about. Can you see it? It's a U shape. So the water comes from the bottom of the loop, turns around, heads back up, and when it comes up hot, and it gets really hot, much hotter than your regular hot water tank would give you. Comes out through the back, so you can see here again, cold water comes through here. When it goes through the chamber, when it comes back through here, this is hot, you can't even touch that after. And from there it goes into here, you can see it coming out. That's the cold, and that's the hot. Goes up through thermal siphoning. Hot water wants to go up like hot air, all the way up to the second floor, where we have 2 hot water tanks, just like the ones you have at your house. Only ours is a holding tank for our hot water in the winter, provided by this stove, and in the summertime, the elements that are in there are DC elements. So we use the sun power to heat the hot water, because we can't turn the stove on in the summertime or any time in like for 6 months of the year, because it's so powerful. The house would be on fire, especially since we spent so much money, something like $20,000 by 10 years ago's prices. So today would be maybe $20,000 in insulating this property, this structure. Okay, so I'm going to continue scraping that loop. Hope you can see it, and hope I don't bump into you or anything while I do that. Same thing, I'm just raking the ash off of places that would be gathering and forming an insulation. And then this ash, when I collect it, I'll show you later, in the tray, then that goes into the bags of, I collect them and I either give them to folks in the city in exchange for bags of leaves. They can use it on in their garden for their tomatoes, roses, or berry bushes. Although probably not blueberries. I don't think blueberries like. I'm not sure. One of the berries doesn't like acidic soil, and this is what provides the ash. What ash provides. If you don't have ash, but you need acidic soil, you can use your coffee grounds. We don't consume coffee here, but most people that do. So now I'm just emptying the ash box of its collected ash over the past, well, since last week that I cleaned it. Making a lot of noise here. think I got most of it out. And then I'll show you what I did from above, so you can see what the ash box looks like from above. Here we go. That's the top view of that ash box. It holds a decent chunk of wood. See, okay, the difference between this stove called the Pioneer Princess and a Pioneer Maid is that this has that extra door in the front that allows for a bigger opening to put bigger chunks of wood. The Pioneer Maid doesn't have this door in the front, only has this opening, so you have to open it. I guess the smoke and the fire and all that is in your face, and the diameter of that is about 10 to 12 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to put the firewood in here and show you how I do it. For those of you who've never had to do this, I get one piece of, this is what softwood looks like, one piece of split. I split these pieces myself, so it's one piece of half piece of softwood one side. In this case I have a round, this is what they call a nightstick. A nightstick because when it's round, fire coming from under can't attach itself. It just keeps going around it. Doesn't have big surface to attach itself. As opposed to that piece that I just showed you, it was a flat piece, and a lot of places that fire can attach itself and get going. So they would use these around what called nightsticks at nighttime, because before going to bed, and because they're slow burning, it would take longer to burn, so they wouldn't have to get up as much as often to stoke the fire. Okay, so now I'm going to put when I get bags from when I go into town in leaf collection, when I empty the leaves into my compost, I still don't get rid of the bag. It's not garbage. I use the bag as fire starters. As part of my series of near zero waste. You can put this in a recycling box, but I mean, this is brilliant fire starter. Put that in there. I don't know if you can see what I did so far. Let me show you. Okay, and then I proceed by small, everything has to be dry pieces of sticks, smaller sticks on top. And so what happens here, and I'll show you what happens here is that the paper, the big chunky paper that I put in there, catches on fire. Then that in turn ignites the sticks that I have on top, and then those sticks catch on fire and fall in between that empty space that the paper was in. And because they last longer than the paper, they set the nightstick on the right and the split wood on the left on fire. And this happens in maybe 15 minutes. Then I come back and add more bigger pieces of wood where all those little ones used to be. And depending on how much of a rush you have, then you can decide how much wood you want to put in. But look how big this fire, all of that I just put in there only took half the space of the firebox. And so depends on how cold your house is or how cold you are, you can put more pieces in there, or you can put hardwood in there that has higher BTUs. Now I want to show you the ash box. I don't want to call it an ashtray. See, that's down there. And all that ash that I raked ended up in there. And you'll see when I pull this out, you'll see like peaks, like mountain peaks. And because there are grooves on the floor of the, around here, on the floor of the firebox, and the ash naturally falls through it. Can you see that? I just give it a couple of shakes, flatten it, push it back. When it's full, maybe in a few days, then I'll empty it into my bags of ash for summertime. One other thing that I want to show you is this here. That is where soot gets collected, and folks that have chimney fires perhaps neglect to clean this space here. Give it a couple of bangs to loosen anything else that might be there. And so if you have a vacuum, it's a good idea to vacuum this area too. But usually it collects in here. I just open this and you can see the creosote that's built up in there. So you empty that, not a lot. You empty that and it's good to go. And that is how you maintain your wood-fired cook stove. Till we meet again. Bye.